Hey Jason, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat here. I understand you have a birthday coming up on July the 18th, turning the big 5-0, where your kids Maddie and Mason have put this together for you as a special birthday gift. I also understand that you are a martial artist. Well, when I was a kid, for about 4 or 5 years, I took Taekwondo, and subsequently I was able to use it in wrestling, pro wrestling, which made me a very different kind of wrestler as compared to everybody else. But as part of your birthday gift, I want to give you the grand tour of my Dragon's Den. Many years of wrestling history here. So we're going to start over here. Jason, I've been inducted into 3 Wrestling Hall of Fames. Up here it says the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame from the NWA. DCW, now that's a small independent wrestling company, Hall of Fame. And then right here in 2009, I was inducted into WWE Hall of Fame, and I would like to run by the class. We got Howard Finkel, Dory and Terry Funk, the Funk Brothers, Coco Beware, you remember him, the Birdman, Cowboy Bill Watts, and of course this guy, Stone Cold Steve Austin, myself, and then Kevin Von Erich from the Von Erich Wrestling family. Now, as we go down to this corner, I call this my Mid-Atlantic Memories. I started in the business in 1975. And in spring of 1977, about a year and a half of being in the business, I was in the Mid-Atlantic region. They had a lot of territories back in the day, and this was North, South Carolina, and Virginia. And all of a sudden, I'm in the main events. I made it in just a year and a half. Very quick time as compared to the average, like 3 to 5 years. Got a couple of pictures here. I'm holding the United States Heavyweight Championship, which made me like the #1 contender towards the world champion, which brings us to this picture. This is Harley Race, and it shows me coming off the top, delivering a big chop to him. This is a special moment because he is the world champion, and it's the first time I stepped into the ring. Another reason why this is a special moment in my career, because back in the day, the main events had 60-minute time limits. 1 hour was the time limit. Well, this is the very first time I wrestled anybody to a 1-hour draw. That's right, the world champion to a 1-hour draw. I always have to give a friendly mention to this guy, Jay Youngblood. Now, for about 4 years, I was in a tag team with Jay. I wanted to break away from single matches just to see what it was like to be in a tag team match. So for 4 years, we were 5 times world tag team champions. 5 times. Jay Youngblood. Over here in my bookcase, I got a bunch of wrestling memorabilia, some cars here. I am a car guy. And a pair of my red wrestling boots with the airbrushed dragons on the side. The red ones were always my favorite, although throughout the years, I probably had a dozen or more pairs. Wrestling dolls. LJN came out with this in the mid-80s. This is a Ricky Steamboat doll. And then subsequently, over the years, they came out with a bunch of different types of wrestling doll with different colored wrestling tights. And then the latest one is Funko Pops. The company came out with a Ricky Steamboat, the Dragon, with the Dragon outfit, Funko Pop. That is so cool. I'm glad they decided to use the Dragon outfit for that Funko Pop. But out of all these, this piece down here is probably the most collectible. You remember Stretch Armstrong? Well, they made Stretch wrestlers, and they made a Ricky Steamboat. This is so collectible because it's still in the box. A lot of them over the years have been stretched out where the arms got stretched out and broken off, but still in the box, and I understand that these are very sought after by wrestling collectors. Over here in this corner, you're going to see a bunch of caricatures of me, cartoon caricatures, all drawn by different artists. This one down here is simple black and white. This is Best Wishes from Phil Ortiz. Now, Phil Ortiz is one of the artists that drew for the Simpson TV show, and if you can see, he drew a Ricky Steamboat Simpson lookalike there. How cool. Nature Boy Ric Flair, 16 times he was a world champion. You remember when I told you that I got my main event break back in the Mid-Atlantic region? Well, he was the #1 guy there. And he went to the promoter and said, I'd like to try and do something with this new kid that came in. And he got me into the main event. And our feud went 17 years on and off, one of the longest running feuds between 2 wrestlers. This picture here takes us to 1989. Flair was world champion. And in Chicago, we had a world championship match, and at the end of the match, I won the belt from Flair, becoming the very first time in my career an NWA world champion. You'll also see a row of trophies here. I did compete in bodybuilding, and I also did that while I was still wrestling. It was very, very tough to be on that strict diet and then go out and perform each night. But I got a picture here I want to show you right up here. That's me on this side, and the other guy is Superfly Jimmy Snuka. We're at the WBBG Southern States Championship that took in North and South Carolina, and the judges brought us out to do a side-by-side because the points were so close. Narrowly beating Snuka by 2 points, and here I got the first place trophy. Very neat. Always have to pay homage to this guy, Macho Man Randy Savage, and 37 years later people still talk about that match and say it's one of the all-time greats. Me and Randy Savage at Detroit. Here's a picture of what that show looked like that night with 93,000 fans at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. And Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan were headlining the show, but at the end of the evening, everybody was saying Steamboat and Savage stole the show that night, and they still say it today. Vince McMahon went on record to say probably the greatest WrestleMania match. Vince. Got some pictures here of me and Steve Austin. Lex Luger gave me an autograph. China here giving me a shot to, giving The Rock, a very young Rock, early in his career, a shot. Here's a picture of Jake the Snake Roberts giving me a clothesline. Now, I said I started the business in the 70s. We've gone through the 80s, and here's a picture of me and Sting. This is WCW World Championship Wrestling, owned by Ted Turner. And Sting, they're the company's #1 guy. Mickey Rourke gave me an autograph picture here when he made the movie The Wrestler. Shane Douglas and I were the WCW Tag Team Champions. And I always have to give another friendly mention to this guy. Very good friend of mine who had left us way too early, Roddy Piper. But Jason, I got one more shot I want to show you, my prized possession up there. That's a picture of me and Muhammad Ali, the great one. That was taken at the very first WrestleMania backstage, Madison Square Garden, where Vince McMahon brought him in to be the special guest. I got my Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship here, and the gold that Macho Man and I wrestled for at WrestleMania 3. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Dragon's Den. You're the newest member. This made it a very, very special birthday for you. Maddie and Mason, your kids wanted to put this all together to make your 50th a very, very special. So, on behalf of myself, happy birthday, and also kudos to your kids for putting this all together. And once again, I want to thank you for being a fan all these years.